Well, cheers and how you do, buckaroos. So here's what I did. I purchased a classic Jack Daniels. And I say classic, I cringe a little because even though this is the classic old number 7, it isn't what it used to be. And I'm not saying that the recipe's different, but they are bottling it different than they did way back when. Remember as a kid when my dad would buy a bottle, it was a 90 proof whiskey, and then it became an 86 proof, and now it's an 80 proof. So I cringe when I say classic because part of me says, no, it's not. Even though it's the original recipe. But what I did here is I picked up a set of some Daniels products that I've never purchased before, and I don't know, I guess maybe I feel a little nostalgic to try classic names like Jack Daniels, but it has their I've had 3 bottles in it, but I'm gonna do 2 of them plus this one because they're the whiskey. I'm gonna leave the rye separate from this particular video. But got the Jack Daniels Select barrel, single barrel select, I guess I should say. It is a 94 proof whiskey, 47%. And then the barrel proof, which this particular one, even though the packaging has it listed at 70%, which is 140 proof, this particular bottle is listed at 64.95 or 129.9 proof. So there you go. So I'm going to do one video over those 3 whiskeys. I'm going to leave the rye out of it, but we're going to do the, I'm going to start with the classic. I debated, right? I debated starting with the barrel strength and working down. And the reason I decided to start with this one and work my way up, as it were, is that I'm going to refer to this as the base whiskey. I want to know what this is, you know, I want to understand this and then work my way up to the single barrel select, and then of course the barrel proof. So anyway, here's the classic Jack. One of these days I need to do videos. So I've maintained that if I'm having an 80 proof bourbon-ish whiskey, that I personally prefer the Jim Beam, not only for flavor, but the price point is nicer. And I think if you're talking quality, there is no difference between the two. If you're talking flavor, of course there is some difference. But I like to do it a side by side one of these days. But anyway. So you can feel some alcohol notes on this. So when I've had recently, I've been drinking some smaller batch whiskeys, and I'm not going to mention any names for the purpose of this video, but I don't get that on the nose that I'm getting on the nose. But I certainly find some vanilla. I certainly find some oak. But there is kind of a grainy, you know, alcohol note that I'm not digging. The honest truth, though, is it's not something that I would have noticed, you know, 30 years ago. But since I've been drinking a lot of, you know, small distillery, small batch whiskeys, you can notice a difference. Yes, dear. My wife found me. Anyway, no! There's nobody here! Anyway, I digress. However, contrary to the nose, though, I noticed some, I mentioned there were some off-putting alcohol-like notes on the nose. The flavors are completely different. So I had to pause the video for a second. I don't typically do 2 takes, but my wife had to ask me a question. So apparently my daughter's neighbor found a cat that they thought was pregnant. So she works for an animal rescue here in town. So she took the cat there to have it, or no, that it was recently pregnant, I guess. Have the vet look at it. It turns out that the cat wasn't pregnant. It had been fixed for quite some time. It was just fat. So anyway, I don't know. It apparently doesn't have a home, but obviously it's been eating fine. So it probably has. I would think it has a home somewhere. But anyway, they were trying to talk me into keeping it. The honest truth is, I will probably end up keeping the damn cat if it doesn't have it. If it comes down to if I don't keep it, it goes to the shelter. Yeah, I'm gonna have another cat. As much as I don't want to. See, we're down to 2, and we just had these 2 cats for 12 years. they're both, you know, got some age on them, obviously. I just don't want to introduce anything else into the mix. And we decided, you know, when our dog Mandy, when she died at about 12 years plus, I decided I was never going to get another dog because it couldn't measure up to Mandy. We just loved Mandy so much. She was the perfect dog. I just couldn't do it again. I couldn't, you know, I just couldn't. And then after Seamus, after we lost my son Seamus, our son Seamus, to cancer, you know, just any loss. When we lost to one of our cats, Large, at the beginning of the year, and that damn near killed me, man. I mean, yeah, I mean, I was despondent for weeks. It was brutal. It just, you know, I'm where I just can't deal with any more loss. And we've got these two cats that we have, and I know I'm going to deal with that at some point. I just didn't want, and when they're gone, I don't want any more animals. But I'm a soft touch. If they can't find a home for this cat, I'll probably end up with it. Anyway, back to the whiskey. Focus on the whiskey, dude. We don't care about your damn cats. Yes, here's the thing, man. I hated cats. Growing up, my dad hated cats. We were never going to have a damn cat. I told my kids we weren't going to get a damn cat. And then we ended up with a damn cat. Well, that first cat we ended up with ended up going to my mother-in-law's and became kind of a mother-in-law cat, or, you know, grandma cat. It had that kind of nature, you know. But then the 2007 ice storm happened, and there were some cats that are abandoned. So, again, being the soft touch that I am, we just took a few of them in. 3 of them ended up staying with us. Shadow, Eddie, which was Seamus's cat, and Large. So, Large for about half her life was an outdoor cat, and she decided she wanted to be indoors, and I just got so attached to these damn cats. So anyway, forget the cats again. Back to the whiskey. So even though the nose, right, there's something off-putting on the nose for me. You can't feel some vanilla, some butterscotch for sure. You might even get some fruit notes, but there's an off-putting alcohol aroma for me. However, the flavor, I will say, I mean, it's just not hard to drink. Is it the most distinctive whiskey I've had? No, it would at this particular price point. Is it my favorite whiskey at this price point? Honestly, no. But I can understand why some people are attached to it. Like I said, Jack Daniel's has distinctive flavors and aromas. There are certain things about this whiskey that if you like those things, it's going to be your whiskey. But yes, even though a whiskey like this probably isn't designed at this price point, isn't designed to drink neat. It's probably best suited for a highball or a cocktail. I mean, you can see I'm not having a hard time drinking it neat. Or if we're just shooting, which I did about half a shot there. Yeah, you know, it's not hard to drink. There are some nice flavors. There are some aromas. Again, it just doesn't particularly work for me, but I can understand why it does work for some folks because of the distinctive nature of the whiskey. How about that? There you go. And I'm going to be back with the next one here in just a minute. Cheers, how you do, buckaroos? And as promised, number 2 of 3 whiskeys we're going to try here, the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select. It's a 375 milliliter bottle of this. Came with the rye and the barrel proof. But for this video, I'm going to do the regular Jack, the Single Barrel Select, and the barrel proof. So anyway, here we go. 47%, so it's 94 proof. Had it up there, but no, I'm just a little nervous. I'm going to knock that down. That scares me a little bit, man. Anyway, I just put it over here. You can't see it completely, but now you know the bottle's there. Anyway, so I've just got 1 ounce neat, 1 shot neat. Using my dad had several of these glasses. I ended up with my dad's Jack Daniel's glasses. Jack Daniel's Gold Medal, number 7. So I mentioned I was getting some harsh alcohol notes on the regular Jack. I'm not feeling that here. I will tell you though, they give you a sheet here. I think somebody just got shot in my garage. As long as it's not me, I don't care. Single barrel, single barrel select. So they tell you some flavors to look for here. The aroma, robust and complex, rich caramel, toasted oak, and subtle fruit. Yeah, okay. You know, sometimes I drink a whiskey like this, and I'll say toffee more so than caramel. And how I personally differentiate toffee and caramel is I think caramel is a creamier aroma and flavor, whereas toffee is a little richer, more decadent. And here you do get more of that caramel than you do toffee. Robust and complex, rich caramel, toasted oak, subtle fruit. Yeah, they don't mention vanilla, but I'm going to say vanilla is present. Toasted oak, sure, but it's very light. Subtle fruit, yeah, almost like fruitcake-like notes, if that makes sense to you. Like a dried fruit, let's say. Like dried raisins, kind of redundant. Raisins or dried cranberries, let's say. Or the fruit notes that I'm picking up here. The flavors, I haven't tasted this yet, but they say, oh my God. Oh wow. A lot of spice and fish, for damn sure. They tell you rich toasted oak. Yeah, you do feel more toasted oak on the palate than you do, or the taste, than you do on the nose. Absolutely. Rich toasted oak, complex barrel spice. Yes, very spicy, especially in the fish. I would say, I'm going to say a combination of them. I'm going to take one more drink here. I'm going to say a combination of cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice. Well balanced, layered with integrated flavors of fruit and spice, including cherry, nutmeg, and clove. Yeah, I didn't mention clove earlier, but yeah, sure, why not? That's all in there. Cherry, yeah, there's some cherry notes in there. Fruit and spice. Again, I'm still gonna say raisin and dried fruit cake, like dried fruit, which would be cherry and raisin. I find it interesting and a little bit odd that they don't mention vanilla. There is a lot of vanilla going on here, which typically is pulled from the barrel. But yeah, there's a lot of vanilla. I'm curious to why they don't mention vanilla, unless they just assume you're going to get vanilla. On the aromas, they mentioned toffee, but they don't mention toffee on the flavor, which you certainly are going to get some. So I do find that interesting. However, on the grain, they tell you corn, malt, and rye. Sweet aromatics, vanilla. There they say vanilla, brown sugar, caramel, dark chocolate, butterscotch, honey. As they go farther up the wheel there, anyway. It is interesting. It is a very spicy whiskey, absolutely. And in fact, the regular Jack didn't have a lot of noticeable spice. So I'm finding it interesting that it comes from that to go to this. This single barrel version does have a lot more character. This is, well, I mean, it costs a lot more. But anyway, just throwing that out there. and again, some of that may be in the proof. That's kind of my issue. That's why I hesitate. Even though this is their classic brand, I hesitate to call this Classic Jack, because even though the recipe may be the same, if you take something down to 90 to 80 proof, it isn't going to quite be the same. And here we have, 47 and 90 proof single barrel, which is probably very close to what original Jack was at 90 proof. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that matter. Not being an expert, I never claimed to be an expert on any damn thing. I'm just a guy who likes it. Anyway, that's just me, man. Anyway, I digress. I am curious to go to the single barrel next to see what it has to offer. What changes may come, man. Anyway, there you go. They mentioned as you go, they've got a little wheel here. As you go further up the wheel, they say specifically nutmeg, anise. Yeah, I will say some anise. I say leather. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, I kind of see where they get coffee. I'm not really feeling coffee. I'm certainly feeling cinnamon, clove, black pepper. Sure, why not? I didn't mention black pepper, but yeah, I mentioned a cinnamon, nutmeg and allspice. They don't mention allspice, but I really feel there's some allspice going on here. But the anise, yeah, I didn't mention the anise. It didn't really hit me until I read that, but sure. It is a rather complex whiskey. You know, I've mentioned before that I think, typically if you're a Scotch drinker anyway, Scotch drinkers are very concerned about the age of their whiskey and whether it's a blend or a single malt. Irish whiskies, somewhat, but not quite as deep as Scotch lovers. But when you're talking about bourbon or Tennessee whiskeys, I don't know that age plays as much of a part as quality of mash to start with, right? Because I've had some small batch, uh, you know, 4-year-old whiskeys that, or even 2 to 4-year-old whiskeys that at a price point I would prefer over any major brand at the same price point. So for me anyway, I think people need to focus on what they like, right? It doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter what anybody says. If you like a particular whiskey for whatever reason, stick with that damn whiskey, man. If you got a price point you like to pay, you like a particular brand for whatever reason, hey man, that's your whiskey. There's no reason not to. I've actually had the single barrel before, but it's been damn close to 2 decades since I've had the single barrel. It's been a long time. So, having revisited it right now, I will say it is very nice. Will I buy it again? It kind of depends, right? So, I bought this mixed pack that had these 3 whiskeys. I'm honestly not sure because right now I'm in love with a particular small distillery brand, and for the same price point, I'm not sure if I would change. But having said that, this has some very nice flavors, very nice aromas. It is certainly worth a look at whatever the price point is. I particularly love the spice. I will say that. You get some spice from the rye and the mash, but at the end where you feel that spice, it is from the barrel. But yeah, I find it odd that they don't mention a lot of toffee on the flavor. You definitely are going to get some toffee. Anyway, I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, but I'm not going to go into my whole spiel because I'm going to have one more whiskey. I'll be back. Unfortunately, it's going to be a long video. Anyway, cheers. Cheers, hey, new buckaroos, and how the heck are you? I was listening to Nick Lowe cracking up just as I press start. The music stops, but anyway, wow, that's a great tune. Anyway, I digress, man. Jack J. Maybe you've had enough to drink, Tom. trying to do a video here. Jack Daniel's single barrel, barrel proof. Now the aromas they say to look for surprisingly smooth, which notes of sweet brown sugar, rich toasted oak, and smoke with warm baking spices. The tastes are complex layers of vanilla, tobacco, and a touch of smoke. The finish is long and satisfying. Well, let's take a look. I've got exactly 1 ounce in here, 1 shot, by the way. So they say aromas of smooth notes of sweet brown sugar, toasted oak, smoke with baking spices. I typically don't use the word smooth when I'm talking about aromas, but yeah, I kind of get where they're coming from. Baking spices, yes. If we're talking about a cinnamon, cardamom, allspice, yeah, you kind of got that thing going. Maybe a hint of anise in there. It's funny though, I didn't get a lot of spice on the regular Jack. I got a nice amount of spice on the single barrel select, but this one here, the spices might not be in your face, but it is a more complex blend, especially on the nose. It is very interesting. They say what else is listed here? Sweet brown sugar, toasted oak. Yeah, I will grant them that. Um, I'm going to take it a step further, though. I'm going to say more of a very dark dark brown sugar, because you do feel a molasses note for me, anyway. Oh damn! I love barrel proof whiskeys. I do, and it's not about getting wasted. It's because you got everything in here. It's before the water gets to it. Everything is right there. Oh my lord! Complex with layers of vanilla, tobacco, and a touch of smoke. I'm gonna say more than a touch of smoke. Tobacco. I'm not a smoker, but I'll concede tobacco. More than like a pipe tobacco, not a pipe tobacco, but a cigar tobacco. I'll say. Complex layers of vanilla. Yeah, you do. It's funny that the others they didn't mention vanilla. Vanilla was present here. Vanilla is present in a great big way. The taste, they don't mention a lot of the spices on the flavor, but you do get a lot of spice. Again, I'm going to run that baking spice gambit. I'm going to say allspice, cinnamon, cardamom. You may feel some mace in there as well. Allspice, if I didn't mention allspice earlier. Finish is long and satisfying. Yes, those flavors do linger. What lingers the most, though, I didn't mention on the flavor here. I'm going to take another drink here. Is I was so busy talking about the spice that I didn't mention the toffee or the fruit notes. I mentioned what I felt the difference between caramel and toffee was, and on the regular Jack, I felt it was caramel. Here, I'm really feeling it is toffee. It's a more decadent, it's a richer flavor. The fruit notes, a very dark fruit. Again, cherry, but not just cherry. It's a very dark cherry. I almost feel like you're getting some very, overripe plum-like notes as well. And quite frankly, to be honest with you, I've never priced a bottle of their cast drink, so I couldn't tell you if it is a bottle that I would purchase again or purchase. It would depend on the affordability. But having said that, the flavors, the aromas, yes, it is a whiskey I'm very curious about. So, and that decision will be made, will I buy this again when I get to the end of this? When I get to the end of this bottle, I'm thinking, damn, I can't live without it. That's when I'll make that decision. If I get to the end of the bottle, say, oh, it was good, but if I get to the end of that bottle, think it's better than good, and the price doesn't matter, then I'll probably pick it up again. However, my initial response to this whiskey is it is very tasty. Which leads me to believe that, when I said earlier, my issue with regular Jack is, even though they say it's the same whiskey that it was, it isn't. Even if the recipe's the same, when you're adding water to get it from 90 to 80 proof, it's not exactly the same whiskey. And you can taste that when you have a barrel strength whiskey. When you taste something out of the barrel, before they have to dilute it down to make it sellable, this is what you got. What you have here is a lot of damn flavor. This, for me, is a fireside whiskey. It's absolutely brilliant, and that's all I got. That's all I got to say, man. I'm the whiskey whisperer, and I've had a shot of this, a shot of that, so 3 shots, and I've got a slight buzz going on. So we're going to end this right now. I'm the whiskey whisperer, whiskey evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, pervert as a man. Wow, that's good. All right, good guy. Cheers, y'all. Yes, you can really feel those pronounced fruit notes. It's absolutely brilliant. Cheers.